Love lives here.
Welcome to Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. I am Reverend Jeffrey Ryan, and it is my honor to be the senior minister and spiritual director for this beloved community, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living. This year here at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living and Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide, we are working with the theme 2020 Spiritual Vision, and this month's theme is Cosmic Connections. And today we're going to be talking about bridges that last. That kind of sums up the entire month. But before we jump into that, let us come together in our focus statement, shall we? So I really want you to feel into this statement, really feel the power behind the statement, really feel what it means and how it is that we as a community, as the beloved community, as Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, show up in the world. Yes, Frank, wake up and go vote. Yes. All right. So awesome. So let's say our focus statement together. Help me focus too, right? So let's say our focus statement together. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. What do? We embolden people to do what? To live their highest potential. And how do we do that? We do it through the transformative power of love. So let's dive in this morning, shall we? I want to say thank you to Neil and thank you to Reverend Victoria for setting this up so well for this talk today. Bridges that last. Bridges that last is what we're talking about today. Last week, Reverend Victoria talked about bridge over troubled waters, and she spoke about forgiveness. And the week before that, Neil talked about inextricable connections. And our inextricable connections are inextricably connected, right? And he talked about our inextricable connection with the divine and with each other. So if we are going to talk about bridges that last, bridges are our connections. They're the connectivity point, connecting one side to the other, or bridging some sort of a gap, whether it be a gap in knowledge or a physical gap, a chasm, whether it be raging waters, whether it be just a little plank over, a little stream, or as Neil talked about, the little stepping stones across, that it is a way to another side. It's a way to the other side, and it's connecting two sides. It's connecting something. There's that connection. So if we want a bridge that lasts, we have to think about the construction of our bridge. We have to think about what it means to have a bridge, that to have this inextricable connection, to have this permanent connection to the other side. And what we know is there really is no other side. There's only one side because there's only one power, one presence, one infinite, eternal, that is the divine. So the first thing that we need to think about when we are thinking about bridges that last is we need to be thinking about being connected, connect deeply. That's the first thing, is to connect deeply. And Neil was talking about this a couple of weeks ago when he was talking about connecting with source, connecting with spirit, knowing that we are never ever separated from spirit, though we can feel separated from spirit. We can, because we have free will, we can choose to not listen to the still small voice. We can choose to ignore the still small voice. We can choose to cover our ears and la 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 and pretend not to hear the still small voice. And we can feel as though we are disconnected from spirit, from source. But what we know is that source is all there is. Spirit is all there is. God is all that there is. Therefore, I have to be that as well. That the who of who I am is spirit made manifest. The who of who you are is spirit made manifest. There is only this one life, this one power, this one presence that is making itself known always and in all ways. Therefore, you and I and everyone we see, everyone we meet, everyone living on the planet, all of life is inextricably connected with the one source, because source is all there is. God is all there is. So we have the opportunity then to connect deeply to that. And what that means is to become completely aware of our connection with Source, of the truth of our being, of who we are, to realize that we are the divine made manifest. You are the divine made manifest. And so we have the opportunity then to really anchor into that and center into that. And as Neil was talking about, practicing the presence, taking time out of your day, even if it's just a breath. And let's just breathe together for a moment and feel the inhale and the exhale. And to be fully present in the moment. Present with your divinity. Present with the God of your understanding. Present with the indwelling presence that is always maintaining and sustaining its beloved creation. We don't have to think about taking breath. We are actually being breathed by the one life breathing itself. And so we are inextricably connected. We are always connected with Source. Despite what we may think or what we may feel, there's only one, and we are always one with that one. So we first nurture that relationship. That is the primary relationship. Let me tell you, all relationships that you have in your life are a reflection of that relationship that you have with the divine of your understanding. Your relationship with Spirit itself, your relationship with God. So whatever relationship you have in your life that is like, ooh, this is sexy, that's a relationship with God. Any relationship that you have in your life going, you know, you're really ticking me off today. You're stepping and dancing on my last nerve. That's a reflection of your relationship with the divine. Because what is there? There's only one life, one presence, one power. Therefore, there is only one real relationship, and that is your relationship with the divine. So we need to focus there and nurture that relationship. Nurture our relationship there. We're already connected. So what that means by nurturing that is by continuously bringing ourselves back to our awareness of our oneness with God. Then, anchored there, then we have the opportunity to really focus on our relationship, our connection with ourself, with a capital S, which is that individualized expression of the divine that is showing up through this vehicle, this gorgeous vehicle that each one of us is. It is the higher self. It is that individualization of spirit that is showing up as you and me, that is showing up in this form, in this time, in this space. And to get into right relationship with that and connect deeply with the spirit, with God, and then connect deeply with yourself. Something I've come to realize in the past couple of weeks as I've had this time away, I've had this time to sit and contemplate and connect with God and to connect with myself, is that putting myself first with a capital S, putting myself first is not selfish. It is an act of love of the highest order. Because if I don't connect deeply with myself, if I don't connect deeply with God, if I don't connect deeply with myself, if I do not nurture that relationship or those relationships, then how in the world am I going to be able to connect with my beloveds, with my family, with my friends, with all of you? Because if I've forgotten who I am, and if I am not connecting with myself deeply, connecting with God deeply, connecting with myself deeply, there's no way I can connect with others deeply and powerfully and recognize the truth of each other and see rightly, see righteously, see justly with the eyes of God and the ears of God and the heart of God. So it is incumbent upon me to connect, and it's incumbent on you to connect spirit, connect with yourself, and then allow this connection, this deep connection, to allow you to connect deeply with one another, to allow us to connect deeply with all of life, with all of creation, to allow a deep, powerful connection that is centered in authenticity, that allows us to see each other for who we truly are, and then be able to be vulnerable with one another, to be available to one another, and to be in community with one another. That this allows us to connect as a whole unit of individualizations of the divine, and come together as the beloved community to connect deeply with one another. And when we connect to Source, we connect to ourselves, we connect to each other, then we are able to go out into the larger community and connect with the larger community. Earlier this week, I had the opportunity to attend with Earl and Denise. We attended the groundbreaking for what is called Heritage Plaza, Mission Heritage Plaza, which is going to be right across the street from the downtown library in Riverside. And Mission Heritage Plaza is going to be the future home of the Civil Rights Institute of Inland Southern California, as well as the Fair Housing Authority of Riverside County. And it is going to have affordable housing built in as well. This is a project that is bringing forth equity and justice, housing justice, fair housing and equity and education for the community. And we, as Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, as the African American Historical Society, as all of these other groups coming together, are helping to bring forth, and Riverside Interfaith Council are helping to bring forth this high idea for our larger community that is in alignment with our values, that is in alignment with our mission, that is emboldening people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. And how beautiful it was to bear witness to community leader Rose Mays and former Mayor Ron Loveridge and Jose Medina, Assemblyman Jose Medina, and other dignitaries there coming forth and bringing this project to our downtown, to our community, so that we may be a stronger community together. This is connecting deeply, first with spirit, with self, and then community. The next piece about building a bridges that last, or bridges that last, is to live consciously. Living consciously means being mindful, living fully in the present, being completely present with whatever is happening in the world, whatever is happening in your life, whatever is happening in the world, and not judging it for right or wrong, good or bad, but to be fully present with what is, to live consciously with what is, just to sit here and go, is. God is. God is present here now. It is the isness. So living consciously means living mindfully. Living consciously also means living compassionately, having compassion for our fellow travelers on this planet as we hurtle through space. Having compassion for the animals, having compassion for the earth, having compassion for one another, living from this place of oneness, this deep connection, and living consciously aware that we share this space, we share this time, we share this life with one another. And then being intentional as to how we interact with one another. Being intentional. Minding our words, knowing that our words have power, knowing that our words can create or co-create. What is it that we are intending? Because where our intention, where our focus goes, spirit flows. So what are we being intentional with? Are we living our lives intentionally? Or are we simply sitting back on the sofa and playing video games? Or are we just mindlessly scrolling through Facebook or social media? Or are we just vegging out in front of the TV? Are we out in the world reacting rather than responding? Are we out reacting rather than proacting? Rather than being the presence of God, or rather than being the presence of love, are we out there just at the whim, at the effect of whatever is blowing in the wind today? And reacting to situations, reacting to the effect, whatever the effect is, reacting to the situations that we're seeing on TV, simply reacting. If we are living intentionally, if we are living consciously, then we bring our consciousness to bear on whatever it is that we are seeing on the TV, whatever it is that is coming into our awareness. We have the opportunity to live consciously, to bring our awareness, to bring our presence, to bring the power and the presence of love to that situation, to whatever it is. Big or small, God knows no big or small. It doesn't matter. We have the opportunity to live consciously in that moment, to be present, to bring the presence of God, to bring the presence of love right there. So first we connect deeply, then we live consciously. And then the next piece is to love fiercely. Love fiercely. If we are going to build bridges that last, if we are going to create bridges that last, these deep abiding connections with Source, this deep abiding connection with the self, this deep abiding connection with each other, then we also have the opportunity, or we have the spiritual mandate to love fiercely. The greatest commandment that was given by Jesus, the master teacher, was love God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul. That there is only one. And then the second commandment was to love your neighbor as yourself. To love our neighbors as ourselves. Well, if we don't have self-love, we can't really love our neighbor, can we? So that takes us back to the connecting. Connect to God first, connect to self. Connect to each other. That we have the opportunity to really go deep in the love, to love fiercely, to love regardless of whatever is happening out here in the world of effect. To bring love there, to love fiercely right there. What that means is that we have the opportunity to see beyond the behavior, see beyond the apparent separation, the apparent discord, the apparent division. We have the opportunity to see beyond that and to see these beloveds, whomever they may be, to see these beloveds as they truly are. To see the person on the news, to see that crazy uncle on Facebook, to see them as they are, not as they are presenting themselves, not as their behavior, but to see them who they are, as for who they are. They are not a human being. They are a spiritual being, having a spiritual experience, and so are you. You are a spiritual being having a spiritual experience, because what is true, what there is only the one. There is only love. And I know that it can be challenging when we are seeing bad behavior, especially in this time frame of the elections. We are seeing really terrible behavior. We are seeing bad behavior as people are reacting rather than living consciously, as they are reacting to the pandemic, as they are reacting to insight and unrest, as they are reacting to that, rather than loving fiercely. That is what we have the opportunity to do, is we have the opportunity to love fiercely. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But it is what we are called to do. If we are going to raise out of this current level of consciousness, if we are going to raise out of this current world of effect, we have got to love fiercely. We have got to love and recognize that each one of us is actually love, and that the only activity is the activity of the divine, and bring ourselves back into remembering the connection of who we are. The only way we're going to get out of what we are stuck in this whole mire is to rise above, is to love fiercely. So if we are going to build these connections, if we are going to build these bridges that last, we have to have the opportunity, well, we have the opportunity to connect deeply, connect with one another, connect with source, connect with self, connect with one another. We have the opportunity to love, or to live consciously and love consciously, but to live consciously. And we have the opportunity to love fiercely. If we are to move forward, if we are to transcend, if we are to transmute, we must build bridges that last. My invitation to you this day is to take one thing from each of those. Begin connecting with yourself first, or connect with spirit first. Take time in meditation, take time in prayer. Take time to nurture and connect deeply with the source of your being, with your beingness, with your isness. Take time there first. Then as you're interacting with the world, live consciously. Live intentionally. Be mindful of your word. Be mindful of your action. Live intentionally. We are here to create a world that works for everyone in all of creation. That is the high vision of Centers for Spiritual Living. That can only happen if you're doing it consciously, if you're doing it intentionally. And then we have the opportunity to remember to love fiercely. Love fiercely. Because as long as we hold a grudge against somebody else, we cannot connect with source. We cannot connect with spirit. We cannot connect with love. As long as we are seeing others amiss, seeing others as anything but love, we are seeing ourselves amiss. We are not loving ourselves. We are not loving God. Because there's only one. One relationship, one life, one love. So this week, take any piece of that and begin working right there. Begin working right where you are. Whatever has resonated with you this morning, I invite you to begin working and doing your spiritual work right there. Whether it's time in meditation, smiling at people in the grocery store, expressing kindness rather than criticism, or simply opening to love. And we will build bridge, connection that lasts. Because we are eternal. Life is eternal. Love is eternal. And so it is. So let's come together in consciousness now. I recognize that there is just this one power, this one presence, this one love, this one infinite eternal, this one isness, the allness, the fullness of life. I recognize that it is all that there is. There is only this one. Therefore, I know that it is the very who of who I am, that I am inseparable from it, that I am inextricably connected to it. And as I know that this is true of me, I know that this is true of all of life, of all of creation, of each one present here this day, of each one who ever hears this word. I know that we are one with the one, that there is only one. We are one with one another, that we are the fullness and the allness of God expressing itself beautifully, magnificently, diversely, but always in unity, always the one. And so I speak my word here and now for this beloved community, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, knowing that we are the beloved community in our community, that we bring this power and this presence. We connect deeply with spirit. We connect deeply with ourselves. We connect deeply with our community, and we connect deeply with our community at large. That we live intentionally, that we live consciously, that we set our intention forth, knowing that our word is the law. We impress our word into the law, and it is done unto us as we believe. It is done unto all of us as we believe. It is done unto our community as our community believes. And so we come together in that consciousness here and now, that we are always one, inextricable, that we are always moving forward, emboldening people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. This is what we are called to do in order to create a world that works for everyone and all of creation. And we are called, and we recognize that in this moment, right here and now, we love fiercely. We love God. We love ourselves. We love our neighbors as ourselves. And it is this love that is transformative. It is this love that is transcendent. It is this love that transmutes anything unlike it, returning it to the nothingness from which it came. And it is this love that is ever present. So I call it forth here and now through each one of us, that we are the presence of love here and now, and we love each other fiercely. It is this love that we come back to time and time and time again. If we forget, we come back to love. We come back to love. We come back to center. We come back to love. We remember who we are. Remember what we are. And we see rightly. We see each other rightly. We see each other justly. We see each other as we truly are, love made manifest. And so I give thanks for this realization this day. I give thanks for this gathering this morning, this gathering of consciousness, that where two or more are gathered, there I am in the midst of thee. I give thanks for all of it. And I release this word into the law, knowing it is already done, it is already manifest, that we truly have built a bridge that lasts, a bridge that is eternal. And I give thanks, I let it be, and together we affirm, and so it is.
Love